Hey everyone, this is Robin. I'm here with your NEPA shows coming up this week on Friday, November 18th. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Surprise. It is Robin and Ben tonight.
It's the Robin and Ben show.
I was looking the wrong way when I do that every time. Classic me.
Everything works. I'm trying to move my camera so that you don't see the artwork on the wall. As much as I want to support local artists, it is not a podcast-friendly art piece on the wall. There is a but, and there are people that will watch this. So we're gonna get me sitting in weird places until I figure out a way to set this up. Give me a moment. Sorry.
You got it.
Technology is amazing, isn't it?
We do our best here. Ben, how is your day going?
Pretty good. This is my first day that I have been pretty much home since my birthday last week. Where I've been when I had the whole day off and didn't do anything. So it was nice to sit on my butt and finally take care of the fact that I've had allergies killing me. So sore throat and everything, and made my tea and sat here drinking it all day as much as I could. How sad, you guys can find a bunch of pillows. No, we're gonna move this again. I'm moving to the other room. Excuse me.
All right.
I feel bad.
Well,
so anyone who's watching, just so you guys know, before I was using my actual webcam that I normally use. Ale's off tonight, so I'm not at his house. And as I was setting everything up, it just sounded like everyone was robots. So we had to switch to my cell phone for tonight's podcast, which needs to be cleaned.
Very difficult technical difficulties. So while Ben gets, there you are.
Should I podcast from the porch today? Would that help?
If it helps, you do it. You got this.
I don't know if I want my neighbors to see me talking to my cell phone like this and hosting a podcast on the front porch.
So what they won't see you doing though on your front porch would be drinking a kickstand, right?
They won't. Not today. I'm out. I drank them all.
You drank them all?
I drank them all. I have an empty can here I can hold and pretend I'm like.
Oh, how about that? How about that intro? That kickstand intro.
I loved the little video. Honestly, I think my favorite color scheme for half the stuff I do is I always enjoy something that's black with a pop of color. So I really just enjoy the kickstand cans in general, but the videos are the little blurb advertising is just I don't know, it tickles my fancy.
Yeah, just like Johnny said in the interview, if anybody saw our interview with contestants Phased, we just put that video out this week. So go ahead to our Facebook page and check that out. But like Johnny says, they're sleek and sweet and spicy, and you should try one. You can come out to any of the takeover events. We have one Friday.
We do.
Gober's, right?
Gober's Deco Lounge in Exeter. That is actually where I've been bartending with them. I've known that family since I was 12 years old, and I've been bartending there for about 10 years. So we're taking over the takeover. The whole family that owns the place, they're all musicians, theater people. So it's a bar full of people that just really enjoy the theater aspect of the world. And as soon as I was hey, can we bring in some local live music from the big break? Immediately they were yeah, absolutely. So
Yay.
we have Alex Manila and Running in Flip Flops this Friday night. Tomorrow. Yep.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow starting at 7:00, right?
7 p.m. to 11 p.m. It is not just it's a nice bar. It's a family owned little it's really cute. You guys would love to come out. It's a great start to your evening because the bar does not stay open until 2 a.m. So the food's fantastic.
Yay.
The drinks are made by someone really good at what they do. And then the show will be good too because we like these guys. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. Last time they were around, I know Alex put on a great show when he was at Litzy's. He
ran solo that night. That was awesome. That's how you step up your game. He last minute found out he was performing solo.
Yeah.
And he pulled an extra hour and a half out of his butt, and it was just really cool.
It was, and I really got to give credit to the bands. They're doing their best to keep up with changes this season. So
they are.
Bravo to them.
Yep.
Let's get to our guest here this week. I am very excited. We get to talk with Eric Parker of Seventh Side Productions. He is a videographer and musician. He's performed music since he was 8 years old, learning the fundamentals of guitar, drums, and vocals. Throughout his childhood, he was deeply involved with school choir and band performances. Then after graduating, he became the drummer for metal band Era of Discord. They produced 2 studio albums during his time with the band. Eric's time in the music scene developed his passion for photo and video, leading him to become a videographer around 2020. He has since directed and filmed over 40 music videos, several of which have over 100,000 views on YouTube. He's had his photography published, gone viral on TikTok, and has been featured in numerous online publications, including Revolver Magazine. Nice. He's currently developing a studio space in New Jersey for use for his productions, and Eric's going to be joining us tonight after we play a music video from season 4 contestants who are going to be returning from season 3 finale. You'll see them playing their song B.
We got all kinds of songs prepared for you guys tonight. Some happy, some sad, all extremely weird.
Sometimes I'm in my room and I do absolutely nothing. Other times I have something to do. Sometimes I'm in my kitchen, I eat absolutely something. It isn't usually something good for you. And other times I lie in bed and try to fall asleep. Other times I'm trying not to scream. But it's Scooby to be like that sometimes. We just gotta accept it. Sometimes I buy my clothes down at the corner store. Couple times I've been a quarter short, but they let me go. You know it's Scooby to be like that sometimes. Gotta eat your lemon flavored snack. Oh, it's Scooby to be like that sometimes. I won't lure myself into a heart attack. Sometimes the demons in the walls are clawing at my eyes. Other times I know he's got my back. 'Cause sometimes I feel like I'm the only one around, but I know I'm not when I can hear his voice. No, it's Scooby to be like that sometimes. Gotta eat your lemon flavored snacks. Oh, it's Scooby to be like that sometimes. I won't lure myself into a heart attack. No, it's Scooby to be Scooby to be Scooby to be like that sometimes.
We love a good clap track. Hello, Eric. Welcome to On the Break. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
You are very welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Eric and I bumped into each other at the River Street Jazz Cafe, right?
Yes, we did.
Right, at a local show that you were photographing. So let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got started.
All right. So much like you already did in your introduction, so music has run in my family, has surrounded me my entire life. I could not run away from it, even if I wanted to. Everyone from my grandmother to my aunt to My dad, you play guitar. A lot of people in my family were vocalists primarily. I mean, going all the way to my great grandmother. So when I was growing up, I was just always surrounded by it. And then school just pulled me in, and that was like my safe haven. I generally think of myself more as an introvert, but when I am surrounded by music, that is where I just open up, and I am a free spirit. So I'm a drummer by heart, although I do play guitar and I sing. My music career outside of, growing up was in a metal band, which largely inspired me to pursue video, because I was always out and about on the road. I was always watching live shows. I was like, people need to be capturing this, because there's a lot of magic happening right now that a lot of people aren't getting to see. Mm-hmm. And I want to change that, and at the same time, you're building this community with all these other musicians around you. And there's just something so gratifying knowing that you can be just a small piece of that. So that's pretty much, even with photo and video, it's just to bring me closer to what I love. And I don't ever see that stopping anytime soon.
That's awesome. So as far as how you got your start with photography or videography, what was the first time you picked up a camera? Like, how did that really grab you?
So it's strange, and I didn't think about this until I really got into it. So when I was younger, my parents for Christmas had bought me a Tasmanian Devil Polaroid camera. And I would run around the house taking pictures, blinding everybody with the flash on it, and it spits it out. I'm shaking it as fast as I can. And then they got me this camera that used to hook up to the VHS set, right? It'd be like, it would send a signal to the camera, and then it would record like live on the television into a VCR cassette. And then when I was a kid, I was always into YouTube, when YouTube was first becoming a thing. It's hard to say that, right? Starting to show my age. We're all getting older.
I was going to tell you, you're going to have to explain what a VHS is to a bunch of the viewers right now when you were saying that.
So, but yeah, and then, I always surrounded myself with video. And then, I guess I set it aside for a little bit. Other things were taking priority. And then I had a buddy of mine who I still work with. His name's Dave from a company called Voxel Productions. And he was doing a lot of live photography for a band that I was following. And I had reached out to him and just asked him about it, because obviously I was interested in it. It looked like a lot of fun, and essentially joined him, for a few gigs. And then got my own camera. He gave me some recommendations. And then I was like, oh, wow, I forgot how much I yearn for this. Like, I really enjoy it. And I was full swing back into it, except it was, like I said, combining two passions now into one. So it really just ignited this fire in me.
That's awesome. I love that. I love hearing like a good passion story. Now, do you edit your own work too? Like, do you do behind the scenes production stuff as well as like the actual production itself?
I try my best to. So on my production sets, I do like to have other cameras rolling in the back to try to capture the process of what's going on. I feel like that is part of the magic, right? Like, everybody is seeing the polished product at the end. Yeah. However, I do feel there's a lot to be learned by viewing some of the behind the scenes. It gives you this excitement to see that, see the voyage from A to B and where it leads you to, right? There's just something about that. And it also, it pays homage to the musicians, right? They're going in for sometimes as many as 8 to 12 hours straight. God bless the drummers. They're playing every single take, between where other people might get breaks in between. So like they're putting in blood, sweat, tears, and everything they have. So I always try to get as much outside of, the actual final polished product, just to show them, part of the process and all of that hard work that they're putting in.
That's cool.
Sorry, Ben, were you going to say something?
I just was like, that's actually really cool. It's nice to see like the behind the scenes, like especially with like music production and things like that. I think is really cool because it's like if it's a movie, there's like always a huge story that can ruin your continuity of watching a movie with behind the scenes. But behind the scenes of like a music video kind of thing, production, I was like, I feel like that actually really would just, like you said, add so much more to it as well. Like it's just kind of neat.
Yeah, and I always use it in the aspect to allow bands to have additional content, because we all know in this era we're no stranger to social media, and that, you know, with shortening attention spans, you know, and an incredible amount of talent out there, to be able to have this arsenal of content surrounding your brand, surrounding, you know, your music, you know, anything to spread the word and get you out there. I mean, much like you're all doing with the show.
Yeah.
So with shortened attention spans, though, I mean, speaking of shortened attention spans, you've gone viral on TikTok. Was it that extra kind of footage that helped you go viral on TikTok, or was it some specific? Did you lip sync to something, or did you bring on your own production of something?
So a video I did is what went viral. So there was a particular band I had worked with, and they went through a React channel for metal bands specifically. And it was through that reaction video that had blew up, and that was one of the videos that I'm happy to say went over 100,000 views. Like,
nice.
I mean, it took a few months. Like it was climbing, but yeah, on TikTok it would just be in, you know, every few weeks it would hit a different pool of people, and then there it was on the rise again. So I was happy, obviously, to see my video up there, but I was even way more excited for the artists. You know, it's a fun thing to see that something you were able to create with them, you know, is serving them well, and it's doing great things for them. So that's like, you know, at the end of the day, like I have that sort of empathy because I've been in that position. I know a lot of the sacrifice that goes into it. So to see those wins, especially from a local artist too, who's just starting to break out into the industry, it's really gratifying.
So then you would like, so since, I mean, I'm sure you know what we do with the Big Break contest. We have right now, they have to produce a music video, and there's the pre-production, production, and then post when everything starts getting voted on. So right now, almost everyone, we're kind of in the middle. They all should be producing their music videos by now.
We're like at the halfway point.
We should be they should be the halfway point. They should be starting to upload stuff, even unfinished versions that are unedited before they start the work, just so they have something in there to, you know, keep on file. So on the topic of, you know, getting your stuff noticed, getting it paid attention, because a lot of this contest relies on voting from fans and people to vote for what they like. Is there any kind of tip or something you want to throw out for them that maybe would, you know, help them with their music video to maybe something to grab attention, or something that they really want to try and maybe bring in, or something in that field that, you know, that you would want to share with them? Maybe they could listen.
Yeah, as far as the actual production aspect, like as you're filming, what I always notice is that the bands who are giving the most energy, similar to a live performance, right? You can feel energy through a camera, much like you can live. They are different. They do have differences in them. But having that energy is really, really important as far as the actual musical performance is concerned. Now, if you do have a little bit extra time, I always recommend having some decent lighting. Lighting in the video world is everything. I could have the best camera. I could have the best camera that money could buy. But if I did not have good lighting, I would rather be shooting on like an iPhone or an Android phone, you know, with lights.
And the technology on those phones, and honestly, in fairness, the technology on those phones nowadays, like you're watching. Right now. I'm sitting on an Android S22 or something like that, whatever it was, the one of the newer ones, and they're not bad. You know, as long as you get the right editing software afterwards. So like, everyone's obviously on a budget for this contest, so a lot of them are shooting with phones, and that's okay. You don't have to have professional equipment to do crazy stuff, but there's editing apps out there. There's, you know, and looking at, we had a discussion, I think, was it when was the last time it was you and I hosted, I think we had to interview Ale, and he had a whole conversation about lights, and, you know, you can go to, you know, Amazon, one of the Home Depots or something, or Lowe's or Walmart even, and read this, like the light bulbs, and get like those lights that your dad used to fix the car in the garage.
Exactly, 100%. And that's a huge thing getting started in the video industry is I had nothing. I did have a decent camera when I started because I was doing photography and I had video capabilities. But lights, I started from the ground up, and like you said, you can go to Home Depot, buy a little clamp light, take a bed sheet to diffuse it a little bit, and you can have a beautiful light setup. So lighting is so huge. If you look on YouTube, there is 1,000,001 tutorials, a lot of which are what I had looked into. There's so much free information online. Make the internet your friend. Go out, look up a few videos on lighting. So obviously, to recap, energy from the band, have decent lighting, when you're able to. And I'd say third is to have some sort of visual element that might tie in the theme of your song or the message that you're trying to bring across. So when I meet with artists, we always try to have like a preliminary call. The first thing I ask for is the lyrics and what their interpretation of the lyrics are in the song. And that generally inspires me with, how I put everything together, some of the B-roll I might, shots that I might take. Like, for example, a video I'm working on has a lot of themes of death. No surprise, I film metal music videos. So to exemplify that, I have footage I'm taking of like flowers slowly decaying or falling apart that I can incorporate into the video. So if you have additional time and have little visual aspects you want to include, those are always nice. You can always include them in your music video set too. So I do a lot of that with set design, just having pieces of, elements around you, say if it's like maybe a love song or something, somebody's playing guitar and you can have somebody dropping little fake rose petals from above you, and it'll create this immersive, environment with a lot of depth and visual interest. So there's a lot more things, where you're like, oh, I want to go and click back in that and see and look at that. And
with the sets, I want to throw this out. I'll throw this out there with it. With the set design and things like that. Like I have a theater background and I've had to design sets myself. And you can, with cameras, if you're filming from far enough away, you just have to imply what something looks like for it to actually look proper on a camera. It doesn't have to actually be a giant rock wall as long as you have the right lighting and the shadow on it. You can
absolutely
fake it. So we made one of the productions I did when I was younger. We did I don't like the show, but I was in South Pacific, which takes place on a mountain, and we had an entire mountain that we basically took chicken wire from floor like halfway up the stage and just slapped it with a ton of paper mache and then threw a coat of paint on it. And it looked like a mountain. And that's cheap. That was cheap. I don't know how it is now, but it was relatively cheap back then. And so not everyone's going to want to go outside and use natural lighting and natural outdoor elements. So if you do have indoor stuff, bands can use things like Luan is relatively inexpensive. It's like cheap canvasy type stuff. You can build almost every set out of it. And your set doesn't have to be up to, house grade. It can be for this scene only. Don't knock it over, And
it's funny you mentioned that because there's one band in particular from another video producer that I very much enjoy, where he used paper mache in the band's living room. He made an entire cave set in the living room, and then he had additional B-roll shots where it made it almost look like they were in the ocean, and he was using like a cheap Walmart swimming pool at night, a few lights, paper mache lining the left and right side, and it just I saw the behind the scenes, and this is where there was a real wow factor to it.
Yeah,
I was like, how in the world did they do that?
Camera angle and lighting. That's so cool. I love special effects that you can create and things like that with that you think they're out doing some huge crazy in depth. And it's like, no, it was a kiddie pool and a mirror.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I had a question. We actually have one of the music videos. I believe you directed and starred in it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no!
This is your life.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is. Yeah. I know this one very well.
Okay, so we'll play a little bit of this one, and then I'm curious to pick your brain about
languages. Wait, okay, where did you start?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to.
Okay, making sure. My guitarist is a little out of pocket.
Good looking out.
That's all right. Everyone knows our podcast is
yeah, we're coming up
PG-13,
right
we
here.
get.
This is very more of a cinematic intro. Something we wanted to try out though.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh, right.
Fuck you!
Whoops.
We're allowed.
Well,
We're
we just
allowed.
lost our PG-13
Yeah, so
rating.
if we have anybody that would like to turn away from anything, I don't know, any sort of graphic, anything.
In the warning.
But that's that energy you're talking about. You want to have that high energy, and sometimes, like, a burst of energy, like through a very strongly worded item,
And
what you
I
need.
will say, I had a very strong crew of people. Shout out to my partner, Grace McCahey, and one of my good friends, Chris Witt, for helping out on the camera. This shoot was a tough one. I can definitely give you set design elements like this background, everything you're seeing from the outfits to the board of corrections. Even you see little barcodes or band symbols are on the outfits. There's so
cool.
much stuff. Even the outfits of the police we had purchased on Amazon. In the background, you'll see a fence. We actually went to Lowe's and purchased that fence. That was fun getting up there.
That's right. And also, I'm noticing, like, this is like a visual element for the band. Like, by having the background super dark, you can light up the things that you want people to see to make it look more like.
Exactly. Absolutely. So there's a lot in that space. I've worked out of this particular space quite frequently, and there's a lot of stuff that I guess is undesirable to see on camera for this specific shoot. And then we go into the fun performance. So I'd like to try to this one tell a story before jumping into everything.
There's no way to run from what I've done. I let my shit from the start of the gun.
So the story behind this music is and this video is kind of a little bleak. Obviously, like you said, metal has some darker themes to it. So what was it for you to act in this scenario?
Could you repeat that one more time?
Experience. Yeah. Have you ever acted in a music video prior to that? And what was that like for you?
I have not. No. I have very limited experience in musical theater. I had participated in a play or two. Wasn't my big thing, but how hard could it be just to look angry and be handcuffed and I had a few obviously very talented actors who I'm happy to call my friends, and they were instrumental because they're in that area. So they were giving me tips because, it was strange to be in a music video and also direct it at the same time. So that was it's like a truly interesting experience because you're like, you have to split your brain into two, essentially. I guess this is good to talk about because that's essentially, what
they're doing right now.
Artists are doing right now.
Yeah.
I always try to tell, because I've been on both sides of directing and in shows. I prefer to be on stage, but I've seen directors that have to step into a part. And every time there's been a director that has to split their time between, say, the music. I've been in shows where the musical director is basically put himself in a big role in the show because no one else got the part, or no one else could do it the way he wanted it. And so, but then at some point you have to be able to step away from one role into the other one. You have to really separate the two. Otherwise, you'll never be able to fully focus and make it look real or look good because you're so focused. You're so worried about what the band is playing that you're not paying attention to the role you're playing.
Yeah.
So you look like crap, but the band sounds great. Or you're not paying enough attention to the band and your role looks great, but then the band sounds like crap. So it's really hard. If you can bring in a friend to help watch things and maybe take notes for you of what notes you want to give to everyone on stage afterwards or everyone performing afterwards when you want to go back and reshoot the scene, if you're going to do that, bring someone else in, bring in a production assistant to keep an eye on things when you're not able to do it, when you're on stage playing your part. Have someone help. A second set of eyes is a godsend in any production.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really important that you brought that up because there is a fourth element that I 100% think is worth mentioning is discuss with your bandmates ahead of time what kind of shots you want and come up with a shot list. Have these discussions ahead of time. Have a general listing, pop open a Word doc, listen through to the song, you know your music better than anybody else. You can go through. What I like to do is I like to take timestamps of certain pieces, you know, or parts in the music that I think are really powerful emotionally. Obviously, if there's a slower part in the song, you want things to be nice, slow, and smooth. You know, in this music video, as you can tell, the music's very hectic. There's a lot going on. It's very quick. It's very aggressive. So I'm making the camera move, and in that fashion, I'm trying to capture the energy with my camera, as you know, to match that feel of the music. And that comes down to a lot of preparation, and seeing what is the mood and the feel for the song, and how can we emulate that in the video work. So
you're not just matching it. You're not just letting the actors do all the energy on stage. You're also trying to match it with the equipment behind the scenes. So
so if you notice, obviously there's a lot of visual effects over here, but there's a lot of quick cuts, right? There's a lot of jumps going on. It kind of almost makes you feel uncomfortable. There's so much going on really fast to exemplify the feel of the song. Whereas there's other songs they're a lot slower, you know, and they follow and flow with the mood. So when you tie that in with the visual elements, it really creates something special out of it.
Now, something like what we're seeing right now, like with this kind of thing, obviously you had to have had more than one camera running at a time to catch these different cuts like that. Like for something with, like I said, upbeat band, because I think a lot of our bands do more upbeat original music. There's a few that are, you know, they do a mix, but most likely I think everyone's going to try and put their best foot forward. They're going to put up something upbeat, and how many cameras would you say, if you can have them going at the same time, would you want to try and have on set, watching everything to get the most angles for what you're trying to create in something like what we're watching now?
So funny enough, most of for most of these style music videos that are staged and that we have time to set up, usually only has one camera. Yes. Now this can differ. If you're filming live shows, then you're playing a performance. You know, it depends if you're playing for an audience. Obviously, you have limited attempts to film, so more cameras in that case are better, because you have the maximum opportunity to capture all of those angles in a singular performance. So you're not missing anything.
Okay.
Other artists, I guess it depends on what you have available. Like if you do have a live music venue that's booked out for the day, or you know someone and you're able to film multiple times and you can take the best take out of each one. So that's what we do here on more of these staged productions, is we'll go through and we'll just film different takes, and then we put them all into the editing software. We line them up to the song. A good way to do this is play along to a click track on a speaker, so your camera's capturing the audio, and then you can line it up in post. And then so when it's staged, you really are able to
I'm so theater oriented from like my experience, like that when we do film the theater shows for Theater Records and to submit to like the NEPTA Awards, and we'll usually have several cameras going, but I'm realizing now, I'm like, that's because we only do the show once a night.
One time.
And that's what we submit, and they edit the best they can. But and like you guys, as a team going out and recording for a music video, you guys can record the same part over and over again. You know, you may put in a 12-hour day and be exhausted, but if you record it 12 times or 15 times or 30 times until you feel like you've got what you need, you can clip that together and create your video perfectly exactly how you want it.
Exactly.
So I mean, you obviously want to limit the number of takes you have to take, because you want to be able to try and get it right. But
that, and you got to think about how long you'll take with editing.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
I think part of that, for like what I would want to take away from that thought process, is don't panic. Like
that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, like you've got like, yes, everyone's got time limits when they have to submit their music videos by. So yes, there is a certain element of of awareness, of time awareness you have to have, but you can still really like put your effort into it, try your best multiple times, and film it to get all the shots you want. You know, don't be afraid to take an hour to do the same scene 3 or 4 times, where one person, the first time you're filming the drummer the whole time, the second time guitar, the third time's and then edit together the shots that you want to have so that it really looks the way you want it. Like it's not, if you organize your time and you have your board, of what you want to shoot when you want to shoot it the right way, you can pack a lot into just an hour of work. And I think
absolutely, yeah. You can make it as simple or as complicated. To me, it's like a bottomless black pit of, how involved you could get with it, but at the same time, it all depends what works for what you're going for. And I think that's the most important thing, is that everybody's music is different. Everybody's music is catering to a very specific audience. And with each of those comes its own requirements. And there's there's infinitely many ways to experiment with what you're doing. I just say, try new things. Try something new out of the box that you haven't done before. Even things that don't seem practical have their use. I just see all the craziest type of things on set that I would have never thought, would have rendered the image that it did, or, a certain angle, somebody's like taping a camera to the ceiling and filming, or I've seen just about everything at this point. They have entire Instagram pages dedicated to some of these wacky setups.
That's cool. Do what you can with what you got. That's
exactly.
That's production.
Well, I think, and I'm gonna throw back to previous podcast episodes. When you have your story is like, everyone says your story is like you're saying, lighting, everything. Story is important. Don't change everything on site unless you absolutely have to. Come up with your ideas before you get there, because if you keep saying, I can make it better, I can make it better, I can make it better, you'll never finish filming that day. So
exactly. Yeah, you get caught in the moment, and that's so integral.
Wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Is a deadly phrase.
Yeah, because if you go in with a plan of action, and this comes with everything, having preparedness. If you're already prepared, you don't have to spend time on the foundations. Now you do have that extra room to collaborate and, as a group and move forward with some new ideas that you may have.
That's right.
And then it's like work your plan your work, and even beyond that, like going in with your timeline, and like we said with the storyboard, use your plan, but like it. All your shots where you don't have to shoot in order either. So shoot everything in one space and then move to the next space. That's maximizing your time. You can go back later and do more if you really have time left. Mm-hmm. Like if you really, really plan it right, plan your schedule as best you can and stick to your story. I think there's so much. Yeah. It's like hearing this, honestly, after hearing this for this many weeks in a row of these different podcasts where everyone's like, yo, do this. I'm kind of like, yo, I think I could do this now.
You can. That's the best part about it.
One of my fun questions that I've enjoyed asking this month is, do you have any on-set production pet peeves? You seem like a level-headed dude, but I mean, everybody's got their do's and don'ts, right?
Pet peeves for others, not as much, but one pet peeve for myself that I need to get going is to invite more people on set to help out. Once you get, it's when setting up a set design takes 4 hours when it could have taken an hour and a half if I had just brought on other people. So that's been a pet peeve of mine recently, is learning to have others join me on set, not be so stubborn. It is invaluable to have others assisting on set. It's not always possible, but set designs they're fun, and I love them. I absolutely love them, and they're a huge part of the productions that I do. But it is time consuming, and obviously, Ben, I know you can attest to that. It is very similar to the theater aspect. I know that's where there's a lot of blending between those two industries. It takes time, and it takes a lot of thought to build these immersive sets for your artists. So
I would say, like, on average, like one of the sets I've had to build once, as part of the building crew anyway, we had probably at least a dozen volunteers daily for several hours just to build the set, because most theater productions, you only have 3 weeks of rehearsal time. And that includes to learn your parts, learn your music, build your set, and have it ready to go by opening night. You usually have about 3 weeks, and then the production goes off, and then you tear it down and start over again. And I think on average, like when it comes to building and painting, you reach out to everyone you know.
Exactly.
Like, hey,
yeah.
If you like painting some stuff this weekend, I'll buy pizza and beer. Like,
yeah. To bands, that's another good point for time management. Is if you think it's going to take a certain amount of time to build the way your vision looks, definitely give yourself extra time with that, because it can be deceitfully difficult to get the little details the way you want them, or make sure the lights are tilted just the right way, that you're getting that shadow you need on the rock wall, or whatever is going to take a little bit longer because you don't have somebody show up the day of. Try and give yourself that plan ahead.
And that, even to kind of piggyback off that, of what you're saying there, like even our takeover events, we're showing up, like
that
we will be
studio too.
Yeah, and the studio, like, but like we're going into these bars and restaurants and venues that don't necessarily have a space for musicians to play normally, and we're setting up everything. I think that we've been getting there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a show that doesn't even start till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And all we're doing is setting up, like I'm setting up my sound equipment, and we're setting up Encore, setting up their equipment, and we're coordinating things, and then like, you know, we're trying to just get everything ready to go with just lights facing the band the right way and sound check and things like that. Like that takes 2 to 3 hours for amateur, you know, we're amateur for that part of it. You know,
it's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like you'd be setting up for a show.
Yeah. I'm thinking you're just setting up your equipment. Like think about how long it takes for like a band, how long it takes you to set up your equipment when you get to a venue. Now you're building an entire set to go do a music video on. So just understand, you know, it takes you longer than you think it does.
That's
right.
right.
Bring people. We have a great team of volunteers that are helping with the takeovers, and we get set up really quickly with some of the stuff because of them, and it's awesome.
And similar to shows, always bring water.
Yeah. Hydrate. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Speaking of live shows, we have a little video clip we're going to play here in just a second of some live shows going on in northeastern Pennsylvania. Eric, do you have a favorite local venue to visit where you're at?
I guess it's a little further away from me, but I actually filmed a video in it recently, and I really loved the Anchor Rock Club in New Jersey.
Nice.
It's a really, really nice venue, very high ceilings. So I definitely want to start catching more live shows there after filming there. It's a very cool spot.
Awesome. Well, we are going to give our viewers a taste of what's coming up this week in northeastern Pennsylvania. Hi, it's Robin with this week's original shows in northeastern Pennsylvania. On Thursday the 25th at 279 Bar and Grill in Plains, Elephants Dancing. On Friday the 26th at Gober's in Exeter, The Big Break Takeover number 6, featuring Season 4 contestants Running in Flip-Flops and Alex Danilla. At the Moon Tavern in Scranton, Rachel Bradshaw. At Pine Ridge in Albrightsville, the Pine Ridge Music Festival. At Ironheart Tap Room in Dalton, Gracie Jane Sinclair. At the Keystone Stage in Oliphant, The Hardest of Roseanne Part 2. At Last Leg Cidery in Factoryville, Ken Norton. At Pork Authority Barbecue in Greentown, Emily Naccio. At the River Street Jazz Cafe in Plains, Solar Circuit, Micro Cave, and Newbie Hundo. At Palermo's Pizza in Lake Ariel, J. Luke. On Saturday the 27th at the Stonehouse in Carbondale, Sage Clearing. At Grotto Pizza in Wilkes-Barre, Dashboard Mary. At Finola's in Stroudsburg, The Wonton Soups. At Groove Brewing in Scranton, Jeremy Burke. At the River Street Jazz Cafe in Plains, Death Valley Dreams with sets from 3 supporting bands. At Finnegan's in Scranton, War Ballad. At Stonehouse Meadery in Stroudsburg, Roots and Bluestone. And on Sunday the 28th at Grotto Pizza in Harvey's Lake, Torrey V. If you want your show featured on the next episode, go to thebigbreak.org/podcast and click the Submit Your Show button. That's all for this week. Make sure to head to a show, spread the word, and support independent artists.
I love that stuff. I think my favorite part of watching those videos every week is going, hey, I know that guy, when I see different bands that like I've actually worked with or know. Like one of the guys, Noopy Hundo, I've known him since he was worked with me when I worked with Mayday back in the day. Like we were on the same team. So like, I know that guy. So
it's so funny because I'll sit here when I'm done with it and like watch every week and be like, oh my God, there is so much good music this weekend.
So much live music. So many good musicians.
It makes me happy to see the live scene alive and well. I mean, I know we're like getting 3 years out from it, but it's really nice to see.
Is there like that same energetic resurgence where you're at? You said you're in New Jersey.
So I'm in PA, but I'm closer to Philadelphia. I'm like 45 minutes north of Philly.
I got you.
So a lot of the people, I mean, obviously I cater to a lot of people in PA, but New Jersey is also a popular spot where a lot of my friends are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and then like we're trying so hard with a big break. Like obviously, our big goal is to support musicians, support local musicians, and that's why that we have go on the website, bars in the area, go on the site, submit your shows. But honestly, like I'm gonna shamelessly plug this. Like the takeovers are my baby. I'm gonna shamelessly plug it. Alex Miller and Running the Flip Flops. They're both, they're fantastic musicians. A lot of them. Gober's Duck Lounge is in Exeter. It's so close, and they're just fun musicians. It's such a chill environment. The food's fantastic. The family's fun that owns the business, and it's just a chill venue. You go inside, and there's like when they say deco, it's like there's like flowers and pearls and all this old like ancient, but stuff from like the from the late 1900s.
It might as well be ancient at this point.
I mean, at this point. But there's a lot of vintage stuff. So the venue itself is full of vintage stuff. Everyone goes to the venue and they're always like, oh my God, like this stuff is so cool. But then the bands are there and we're having live music and it's it's such a chill venue. I love it so much. I love being there. I go there and I'm like, I feel like I'm going there to hang out and have fun with some friends, not going to bartend and work every week. And I know that I've worked with both those bands now for a few times. We all have. And fun. It's just going to be a very chill, fun, nice night, and they're going to get to know some new people who will hopefully follow the takeover events and follow the big break. And then when they submit their music videos, they can vote for them to win the contest and go on to the next stage. So, yeah, I mean,
I'm going to give a wild shout out to everybody at Litzy's. They've been welcoming us over and over. And of course, we've got Fiddler's Green, we've got 12 Penny, we've got 279. Like you said, we got Gober's. And I know we've had the majority of our shows at Litzy's, and their patrons have been so supportive of these musicians. And
they love it. They love it.
I think there's something to say about those venues too. Is that obviously there's a lot of venues that are so overrun by some of the bigger companies. It's really nice when the community steps up and allows the opportunity for these musicians to have a platform. Whereas, with some of these larger industries or larger entities, I should say, they make it difficult. There's so many steps you have to go through. So it's something really nice to see, in Pennsylvania, how many venues there are that can cater to these musicians and give them that platform that they deserve.
And some of the spaces, like the size of these venues, we've had, obviously, like Litzy's has a whole floor. Like we have a space there. Fiddler's is, it was not a bigger space. It was like maybe the size of my living room. Gober's is somewhere between those two. It was like even small places can accommodate bands and really neat. And every single venue that we've played at, like, 12 Penny had a whole stage that was, the drag queens normally perform on and things like that. That was a club. That was like probably the biggest one we had, the most stagiest stage we had. Yeah. But every single one of these venues, I'm obviously I know all of them because I'm the one who's like picked venues and helped get them to let us do the shows, and I talk to them on a regular basis. Every single one has said they want to bring in the bands, they want to do more live music, they want to bring in these bands that we've bought in a lot, and other bands from Big Break. So like, that's even awesome. Bands it's so we just want to see this music get better and bigger.
Since I'm actually on here this week too, there were two shows that came up after I had a chance to put together the segment. So I just want to see if I can remember. There's one at Curry in South Wilkes-Barre, and I always miss those shows.
Oh yeah.
find those. But there is definitely one going on Wednesday. Let's see, or maybe Sunday. I think it was the 28th. I saw.
Okay. Curry's right down the road from me. I can walk down the hill and get there.
I love that they put on shows at a coffee shop. I want to see shows at more interesting places.
I just picture like people, like a band playing on the sidewalk, like full on like metal band playing on a sidewalk as people come out, like walk out with like a box of donuts in hand. Just like
that would be great. Hey, though, there is something to say about coffee shops and acoustic music, though.
That is very true.
Like chef's kiss right there.
These are like full punk rock folk shows. So
and full disclosure, I'm a metalhead, but before I got into metal, hard rock, classic rock, jazz, symphonic music, I was all over the place with that stuff. So like that's why I just have an appreciation for music. You know, it's expression, and it's my favorite form.
So how can people show their appreciation for you and your expressions? Where can we find you? What do you want to plug away?
I guess the best place to find a lot of the stuff I have is through Instagram at Sevenside Prod, Prod, and Sevenside spelled out SEVENTH. SID. Yep, look at that. Thank you.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Playing producer a little
bit. I have a lot of my stuff in that. I do have a website as well. It's www.sevensideproductions.com. We're under a lot of revisions on that site, but hopefully within the next couple months, we'll have everything fresh and updated up there. And this side of it, obviously being catered towards musicians specifically. So, yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to work with more, classic rock, hard rock, any other genres. I'm like, that's something I'm always so eager and so excited to dive into. I just fell into the metal scene because that's where I was immersed in naturally. Over the past few months, I've gotten more artists, hard rock artists, classic rock. And it's fun because each genre, can completely switch the type of filming style required. So that's one thing as an individual. I always love to challenge myself, and that's what I always encourage, for others. So that's something I hope to dive into, within the next couple of years, is to really get out there and just work with a variety of music styles.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, hopefully right around the corner too, I'll have a studio space. I'll have to share, Robin.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
To have people filming. So next time this comes around, I know it's a little farther out from where you're all located, but
not as far as you think.
We're actually, this season we're open to New York and New Jersey. So
cool. Very cool.
We're in the tri-state area. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are wrapping things up here. We've got one more video to play for everybody. Before we do that, Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for being here. And feel free to stick around a little bit afterwards. We all hang out for a minute if you want to pop in, or if you got to go, you got to go. But we appreciate you being part of the podcast this week. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. I can't wait to come back.
Thank you. Be here. And thank you again to Kickstand, who is helping the podcast do its thing this year.
Try Kickstand at any of the takeover events. We have samples going out, everyone. My favorite's the raspberry. I've tried them all now. I can say that. I like the raspberry one the best.
I can't try them all because I'm allergic to one of them, but the rest of them are pretty delicious.
They are pretty good.
So yeah, thank you again to Kickstand and all of our sponsors this season for the big break. We are going to play a video from not last season, season 2's champions, Old Kentucky Shark. They are playing in the break room, and that will be their song Coping.
Trying hard to put your death to rest. I was testing out my liver. I put my heart to the test. Whoa. comfort in my vices. I spiraled out of control. It took me years to finally realize that we were both in a hole. I was chained to a lie. I was chained to a lie. You wouldn't want this to be sad and slow, so I wrote some rock and roll, Dad, yeah, to help move your soul. I was never alone. I was never alone. Son, I'm gonna love you after I'm gone. I'm gonna look over each and every move you make. Son, I'm really proud of the man you become. It doesn't matter if you fuck up, everyone makes mistakes. Son, after I'm gone, I'm gonna look over each and every move you make. Son, I'm really proud of the man you become. It doesn't matter if you fuck up every